You've stepped into Crimson Moon Stories, where love is dangerous, loyalty is tested, and fate always leaves a scar. I'm Noktula, and I wrote this story just for you. Ready to feel everything? Let's begin.
The city fog hung low as Emily Ross gripped the steering wheel and stared at the iron gates of the Carter estate. Her stomach twisted into nervous knots. This wasn't the kind of place you just dropped in on someone, especially not when that someone was Logan Carter, ex-general of the Eastern Ridge Pack, alpha war hero turned recluse. A silent buzz echoed from her dashboard. The gates creaked open. She swallowed and drove through. The mansion stood at the end of a cobblestone path, tucked behind a wall of unkempt hedges and weeping oaks. Despite the grandeur, it felt haunted. Not by ghosts, but by memories. Emily parked and stepped out, her worn boots clicking against the stone. She smoothed her olive green cardigan and adjusted her canvas duffel. The door was slightly ajar. She knocked anyway. Hello? No answer. With a hesitant breath, she pushed it open. The foyer was dim. Dust floated in lazy spirals, catching light from a single stained glass window above the stairwell. A sound, wheels moving, came from the hallway. Then she saw him. Logan Carter sat in a sleek black wheelchair, arms crossed, jaw set hard. He wore a black thermal shirt and grey joggers, a thick blanket over his legs. His hair was dark brown, short and messy, and his grey eyes locked onto hers like a target. "You're late," Emily blinked. "It's 8:58. You said 9. I said. "Early is on time. On time is late," he muttered. "Oh," she said, unsure whether to apologize or just combust. Silence. "You're the new Omega. Not a question. A judgment." She straightened. "Yes. Emily Ross. The pack. I know who sent you." The air between them curdled. "Guest room is to the left. Don't go upstairs. Don't touch anything in the study. Meals at 6, meds at 8. I don't need help bathing or dressing. Just cook, clean, and don't talk to me unless absolutely necessary." He turned the chair with one sharp push of the wheels and rolled away. Emily blinked again. So this was how it began. Emily's first night was a quiet one, uncomfortably so. She unpacked her things in the guest room, which smelled like cedar and neglect. A framed photo on the dresser showed Logan in uniform, surrounded by younger wolves. Most of them bore medals. Some she recognized from obituaries. The next morning, she made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, and black coffee. She left the plate on the tray near his study and returned to the kitchen. At noon, the plate was untouched. That evening, she sat across from him at the dining table. He ignored her entirely. "I made roasted chicken," she said, trying. Logan glanced at the food, then at her. "Did I ask you to?" "No, but..." "Then don't." Emily set down her fork. "You know, being polite doesn't require spinal function." His eyebrow twitched. "I'm not here because I want to be either," she continued. "This was a political favor to your beta, and frankly, I had other offers." "Then take them," he said flatly. "I don't walk away from people just because they're difficult." Logan stared at her for a beat too long, then wheeled away without another word. She didn't follow. Later, she sat in her room, typing a letter to her best friend Greta. Day 1. Logan Carter is a jerk, but the kind who used to be someone, and maybe doesn't know who he is without the war. I should leave. I won't. 3 days passed with the same routine. Cook, clean, silence. On Thursday, Logan tried to reach a book on the top shelf of his study. His chair couldn't elevate high enough, but he kept stretching. Emily knocked lightly. "Need help?" "I'm fine," he said through clenched teeth. The book slipped and smacked the floor. She crossed the room, picked it up, and placed it. In his lap, his hands tightened around the cover. "I'm not your enemy," she said quietly. Logan's face hardened. "You're a pack babysitter, sent to make sure the broken alpha doesn't die in his soup." Emily blinked. "Is that how you see yourself?" I see reality. You're just here to play Florence Nightingale until you find a better placement. She opened her mouth, then shut it. Some wounds weren't visible, but she could feel them bleeding out of him. Later that night, she stood outside his study door. She didn't knock, didn't go in, just left a slice of homemade pie on the tray. It was gone in the morning. Saturday brought rain. Emily wandered the halls when she knew Logan was asleep. The house was massive. 6 bedrooms, an attic, and a locked room at the end of the east wing. She passed a photo on the wall. Logan, pre-injury, standing next to a tall man with similar eyes. Probably his younger brother, Tyler. In the living room, a covered piano sat against the wall. She hesitated, then lifted the cloth slightly. Dusty keys greeted her. Her fingers hovered, then pressed down. A soft note. Another. Then a quiet chord. "You play," came a voice behind her. She jumped. Logan sat in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "I dabble," she said, moving away. He wheeled forward, looking at the piano. "It belonged to my mother. She was a composer. She must have been talented. She was loud," he said dryly. "But yes," a pause. "She passed?" Logan nodded. 10 years ago." Emily hesitated. "I'm sorry. I didn't say it for pity." She smiled. "Neither did I." He watched her for a moment, then turned his chair. "That room's locked for a reason, by the way," he said, not looking back. Emily stared. After him, so he had noticed her snooping. The next morning, Logan wheeled into the kitchen while she was cleaning the stovetop. "New rule," he said. "Don't touch my chair. Ever." Emily paused mid-scrub. "I wasn't going to." "You did yesterday. You adjusted the armrest." Well, it was loose. I don't need fixing." She turned slowly. "Then maybe stop acting like a broken thing." Logan's expression flickered. She regretted the words instantly, but didn't take them back. "I'm sorry," she said after a breath. "But if you don't want help, at least don't punish me for being decent." He stared at her, unmoving, then quietly asked, "Why did you take this job?" Emily bit her lip. "Because someone has to care enough not to leave." He didn't respond. Instead, he turned and rolled away, slower this time. She watched him go. Some doors open an inch at a time. Emily stood in the hallway, staring at Logan's closed study door. Her hands were raw from scrubbing the baseboards, and her legs ached from climbing the ladder to dust the light fixtures. Not that he'd asked her to, but she needed to do something to fill the silence. She finally knocked. No response. "Dinner's ready," she said softly. "Steak and steamed greens. I didn't burn anything this time. Promise." The door creaked open after a few seconds. Logan rolled out, eyes narrowing when he noticed the faint paint marks on her hands. "What did you touch?" She blinked. "The hallway walls. I cleaned off the mold and patched up the corners. The baseboards were rotting." He looked away, jaw tense. "I didn't ask you to fix my house." "No, but you do live in it." He didn't reply, just rolled past her toward the kitchen. She followed at a cautious distance. They ate in silence. Emily barely touched her food, too aware of his every breath. Halfway through the meal, Logan muttered, "You missed a corner by the window." Emily blinked. "Excuse me." He looked up. "The hallway. You missed a patch of mold behind the curtain." Her lips curved in surprise. "So, you noticed?" "I live here. I'm not blind." For the first time, she laughed, and to her complete shock, Logan smiled, just barely. A crack in the armor. Monday morning, Dr. Hannah Liu arrived. A tall woman with straight black hair, sharp almond eyes, and a no-nonsense attitude, she breezed into the living room like she owned it. Emily offered coffee. Dr. Liu declined politely and went straight to Logan's study. Emily lingered nearby. What's the word of the day? Hannah asked inside. Silence, Logan grumbled. That's 3 days in a row. Then take the hint. Emily moved to the kitchen, trying to block out their conversation, but Hannah's voice carried. You're isolating again, Logan. Pushing people away. That's not healing. That's surviving. Then survival is all I'm good for now. Emily's heart tugged. You're still alpha, Hannah said gently. Even if you don't lead a battlefield. That title means nothing without function. No, it means you don't get to give up on yourself. Silence. The session ended 40 minutes later. Hannah walked past Emily and paused by the door. He listens, she said quietly. Just doesn't know how to show it. Emily nodded. He's not the only one. That night, Emily heard the crash from across the house. She raced down the hallway to find Logan near the bathroom, face contorted in fury, a shattered water bottle at his feet. I'm fine, he barked. You're clearly not, she said, kneeling to clean the shards. Don't touch it. I'm not letting you cut your hands on glass just because your pride's having a tantrum. He glared. You don't understand. Emily met his gaze. Then help me. He froze. She continued, wiping the floor, then quietly said, You think I wanted to be here? An unbonded omega in a strange house with a bitter broken alpha. His expression darkened. She didn't flinch. But I stayed, because you're not the only one the world forgot. His arms dropped from the wheel rims. What do you want? From me? Emily? Nothing, she said honestly. I just don't want to be treated like I'm invisible. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. That night, Emily sat at her tiny desk, the soft tap of rain outside her, window lulling her thoughts. She opened her laptop and began typing a letter to Greta. Subject, this job sucks, less now, dear G. He finally cracked. Not much, just a smile. But it felt like Everest. He's difficult, not just in the way grumpy men are, but like a broken machine that still wants to protect the world it no longer believes. But when he thought I was leaving, really leaving, I saw it, a flicker of fear. Maybe this won't be a total waste of time. Also, his therapist is the only human being on the planet more intimidating than him. I love her. As she hit send, a soft sound came from the hallway. Wheels again. Logan's chair. She peeked through the cracked door. He was moving slowly toward the front porch, blanket over his lap, coffee thermos in hand. He paused, then, in a voice barely above a whisper, said, Emily. She straightened. Yes. Thank you for dinner. Then he rolled out onto the porch and disappeared into the night mist. The next evening, Logan came into the kitchen at 5:55. Emily raised an eyebrow. You're early. He didn't respond, but rolled up to the table and set his phone aside. Smells like curry. It is. Good. She blinked. Logan waited until she sat before he picked up his fork. The silence between them wasn't hostile tonight, just cautious. Halfway through the meal, he asked, How long were you a medic? Emily looked up. 2 years, mostly in rural clinics. I wasn't pack-aligned at the time. You're good with logistics. She smiled. I once reorganized a whole medical storage shed because the doctor thought alphabetical meant whatever fits. A short chuckle escaped him. They ate slowly, conversation thin but easy. When she poured him a second cup of tea, he didn't flinch when her fingers brushed his. After dinner, he helped clear the plates, one-handedly balancing them on his lap. She opened the dishwasher, surprised. I didn't think you... I'm not useless, he said softly. No, you're not. He paused, then looked at her. Neither are you. The words hit something deep in her chest. For the first time, they shared not just food, but space. Not alpha and omega, not patient and caretaker. Just 2 wolves learning how to coexist. The thunderstorm hit just after midnight. Emily jolted awake as wind slammed against the windows. Rain drummed the roof like pounding feet. She wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and padded into the hallway. Flickering hallway lights cast strange shadows. Then she heard it, a muffled sound from Logan's room. A soft grunt, a wheeled thump. She hesitated, then knocked. No answer. Logan. Another thump. She opened the door. Logan was on the floor, half out of his chair, sheets tangled around his legs. His breathing was shallow, his eyes distant, glassy, haunted. She froze. Logan. No response. Logan, it's Emily. You're safe. It's the storm. It's just thunder, not bombs. He flinched at the word bombs. Sweat clung to his brow. His jaw trembled like he was holding in screams. She slowly knelt. I'm going to touch you now, okay? Still nothing. Carefully, she placed a hand on his shoulder. His skin was ice cold. I'm here. You're not there anymore. His chest rose and fell faster. She wrapped the blanket around him, drawing him gently upright until he leaned into her. Rigid at first, then slowly, reluctantly, melting into her touch. For the first time, Logan Carter cried, silently, fiercely, face buried against her shoulder. She held him there on the cold floor until the storm passed. The next morning, Emily tried not to limp. Her right ankle throbbed from slipping. In the hallway earlier while fetching towels, she hadn't told Logan. He'd had enough vulnerability for one night. Still, he noticed. You're limping, he said bluntly as she brought him tea. It's nothing. You didn't report it. I'm not under your command, General, she teased. His lips twitched, but his eyes didn't budge. Let me see. I'm fine, Emily. She sighed and sat down, lifting the ankle. He rolled closer, inspected the bruising with clinical detachment, then muttered, ice. Elevation. I've done both. He raised an eyebrow. Then, stop limping like a martyr. She laughed, despite herself. You're very bossy when you care. His expression softened a fraction. I spent half my life barking orders. Some habits don't die. I get it. A long pause. Then Logan looked up and said something that startled her. Thank you. For last night. Emily blinked. You don't have to. I do. No one stayed that close to me during a trigger before. Most people just watch or walk away. I wasn't raised to walk away from people hurting. Another silence stretched. Then Logan asked, Do you always put others before yourself? She smiled. Only the wolves worth it. Dr. Hannah Liu arrived on Friday with her usual clipboard and unreadable face. Emily greeted her and slipped out to the garden, letting them speak in privacy. Inside, Logan sat stiffly by the window. You look better, Hannah noted. I'm not. You're drinking your tea hot instead of cold. And someone trimmed your hair. Logan didn't respond. She scribbled something down. Your Omega's still here. She's not mine. But she stayed. He looked out the window. She doesn't flinch when I bark, doesn't hover, but she notices everything. She's not a healer, Logan. She's a mirror, and you don't like what you see in her eyes. He said nothing. Does she remind you of someone? Everyone who didn't make it. Hannah set down the pen. She sees you. She sees a man in a chair. She sees the man outside of it too. A pause. Then Logan whispered, I dreamt I could walk again. In the dream, I didn't want to. Hannah blinked. Why not? Because in that dream, she wasn't there. It started with the moon, a full one, low and golden in the sky. The pull scraped along Emily's spine as she tossed and turned. Her heat cycle wasn't due for weeks, but something in the house stirred her instincts. The scent of unclaimed territory, and an alpha with restrained power. She walked into the forest behind the estate, her shift half-triggered, her thoughts a blur. The air was thick with longing, not for touch, but for belonging. She let out a soft, low howl. It echoed through the trees like a secret. From the porch, Logan heard it. He froze, coffee mug suspended mid-air. The sound dragged through his chest, ripping open a sensation he hadn't felt in years. Wanting. Not sexual, not primal, just to be near her. Minutes later, she returned, barefoot, flushed, her eyes distant. He waited at the door. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked softly. "I needed the woods," she said. "The moon's loud tonight." Logan looked at her glowing cheeks and wild hair. "You ran." "Not to get away," she whispered. "To remember what I am." Logan's fingers curled tightly on his wheel rim. "You're still shaking." Emily met his eyes. "You feel it too, don't you? The bond." He didn't deny it. "I won't force it," she said. "But don't pretend it's not there." She walked past him. He didn't stop her, but he didn't look away. Emily found the key by accident. It was hidden beneath a loose floorboard in the study, obvious enough that Logan probably knew she'd find it eventually. She stared at it for 2 days before daring to use it. The door opened to a room bathed in dusklight. Walls lined with shelves of old journals, maps, war medallions, letters stacked in neat bundles. A dusty scent of ink, wood, and memory. And in the center, an easel, with a half-finished portrait of a wolf pack under siege. Emily stepped in, awestruck. She brushed her fingers along the corner of the canvas. "Behind her," Logan spoke. "I painted that before we lost Ridgepoint, before everything fell apart." She turned, startled. He hadn't made a sound. He looked tired but calm. "This was my real therapy room. Why keep it locked?" "Because it's full of ghosts," she approached slowly. "Maybe they're just waiting to be acknowledged." He wheeled in, staring at the canvas. "I used to think I'd never finish that painting." "You still can." "Why?" he asked, voice quiet. "Because the war ended," she said. "But you didn't." For the first time, Logan reached out, not to touch her, but to hand her a brush. "Help me remember the colors." Emily sat cross-legged on the rug in the locked room, leafing through a stack of war journals and unsent letters. Logan wheeled in slowly, watching her fingers hover delicately over the pages, like they might crumble under too much pressure. "You kept them all," she whispered. Logan nodded. "They were meant for families of the fallen, but the council said it would only stir unrest." Emily traced a line of ink that read, "To Beta Cole's mate. He died saving my life. He asked me to tell you he never regretted his choice, even in the end." "You wrote everyone by hand," she murmured. "They deserved more than silence." "You could still send them." Logan's jaw tightened. "Too much time has passed." She looked up at him, eyes soft. "Grief doesn't have an expiration date. Closure doesn't either." For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then he said quietly, "You have a habit of turning painful truths into kindness." Emily gave him a faint smile. "You have a habit of burying everything worth saving." Logan rolled closer, picked up a sealed envelope. "Maybe you're right." He placed the letter beside her. "You choose. If you think she should read it, mail it." Emily's temperature spiked around midnight. She woke in a sweat, heart pounding, limbs twitching. Her heat cycle was early and not mild. The scent of alpha energy lingering in the house, Logan's scent, was now unbearable. She curled on her, sighed, gasping. A sharp knock hit her door. "Emily!" Logan's voice tense. "You're in preheat, aren't you? I didn't think it would come now. I'll call the Beta Housing Center, get someone to pick you up." "No," she croaked. "Please, I don't want to leave." He was quiet a moment. "I'll bring cooling towels and suppressants," he finally said. Emily barely managed a nod. Minutes later, he entered, shirt sleeves rolled up, carrying a cool pack and an armful of medical supplies. His scent flooded the room, clean, earthy, restrained. "I've handled soldiers in blood fever," he muttered. "I can handle this." She looked up, dazed. I trust you. Logan sat by the bed, gently pressing a damp cloth to her neck. You should hate this, she whispered, having to care for me like this. I don't, he said quietly. Not when it's you. Emily's eyes brimmed, but she nodded. The night passed in silence, broken only by her breathing and the rhythmic movement of his hands tending to her. By morning, Emily's fever broke. She sat propped on pillows, sipping water. Logan lingered, near the window, still quiet. Why haven't you asked me to leave? She asked. He turned. Because the house feels less empty when you're in it. She smiled softly. You've barely told me anything about your life before the war. You've barely asked. Emily raised a brow. So if I ask, you'll answer. Logan hesitated. Some questions. She didn't waste time. Why did you become a soldier? He stared at her a moment, then said, Because I didn't know how to be anything else. She waited. Logan took a breath. My father was a warrior. His father too. He believed in strength over kindness. I learned to win before I learned to feel. Emily's chest ached for him. And after the war, I didn't want anyone to see the man I became without legs, without command. I thought, maybe if no one saw me, I'd disappear before I had to face it, Emily whispered. But you're still here. He met her eyes. Because you wouldn't let me vanish. They sat outside together for the first time that week. Emily brought tea. Logan had a sketch pad balanced on his lap. You draw? She asked. I used to. Mostly maps, battle diagrams, arts. New. She peeked. A half-done sketch of her, from memory. Standing in the garden, arms full of herbs. Emily blinked. That's me. You fidget when you think, he said without looking up. I tried to catch that. She reached for the pad, but he held it back. Not finished. She laughed. He looked at her carefully. What were you before this? A disaster, she answered honestly. I drifted from clinic to clinic. Never stayed in one pack long enough to be part of it. Why? Because I didn't know where I belonged. And now, she looked at him. I'm still not sure. But this house doesn't feel like exile anymore. Logan didn't reply, but he let her take the sketch pad from his lap, and when she traced the edge of the drawing with her finger, he didn't look away. That evening, Emily tried to bake. The kitchen quickly turned into chaos. Flour exploded, eggshells landed in the batter, and she accidentally turned the mixer on high while it was unplugged. A glob of dough splattered her forehead. Logan watched from the doorway, completely deadpan. You're a medical professional, he finally said. I never claimed to be domesticated, she shot back. He rolled in closer and eyed the counter. Is that supposed to be bread? It was supposed to be cake. He cracked the first genuine laugh she'd ever heard from him, deep, warm, startling. She froze. Did you just laugh? No. You did. You absolutely did. Figment. Of your fever, she tossed a glob of flour at him. It landed on his shoulder. Logan raised a brow. Careful. You're flirting with war. Emily smirked. You can't declare war from a wheelchair. He leaned forward slightly, grey eyes glinting. Try me. They both burst out laughing. Later, she brought him a cup of herbal tea and a slice of the cake, which actually turned out edible. He took a bite, nodded solemnly, and said, Still not cake. She rolled her eyes, but his eyes lingered on her longer that night, softer than before. And for the first time, they sat together at the dinner table until well after the plates were cleared, neither in a rush to leave. Emily rarely went into town, but this time she had to. Logan was running low on his specialized medication, and the pharmacy wouldn't deliver anymore without a direct pickup. She wore a hoodie, sunglasses, and moved like she was invisible. She wasn't. The moment she stepped into the cafe next to the pharmacy, She heard it. Isn't that the Omega living with General Carter? She's still there? I thought she'd have run screaming by now. Heard she's taming him. Taming. Or trying to get marked by a broken alpha for status? Emily clutched the bag of coffee beans in her hands until the paper crinkled. She turned sharply, fixing the whisperers with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. If you're so fascinated by me, just ask for my schedule. I'll send you updates. They flushed, looking away. She left with her chin high. Back at the estate, Logan waited on the porch, reading. You're late, he said without looking up. She handed him the pills. Blame pack wolves and small minds. He raised a brow. They said something. Emily hesitated, then shrugged. Just gossip. They think I'm sleeping with you. Logan's face darkened. And are you offended? He asked carefully. No, she said softly. Just tired of being misunderstood. His voice dropped. You're not misunderstood. Not here. She looked up. Not by you. Something silent passed between them. He nodded once and took the pills. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Her skin tingled. Her pulse raced. The house felt warmer, like something ancient was awakening under the surface. She wandered out to the kitchen barefoot, grabbing a glass of water. Logan was already there, wheeling slowly across the tiles, a book in hand. You're up, he said quietly. So are you. They didn't turn on the lights, just the soft glow of the moon through the window. Emily leaned against the counter. Do you feel it too? Logan didn't respond right away. The pull? She nodded. It's not a full bond, he said slowly. But it's forming, beneath the surface, even without a mark. Some bonds don't need teeth, he said, voice hoarse. She stepped closer. What happens if we let it grow? He stared at her. We stop being caretaker and alpha and become what? He swallowed. Something terrifying. She reached out slowly, her fingers brushing his hand. He didn't move away. They stood like that, touching, barely, until the moon disappeared behind the clouds. The next day, Emily announced she was starting a garden. Logan stared at her from the doorway. You know nothing about gardening. I know enough to Google what plants grow in shade. He gave a dry snort. And what if you break your ankle again? Then you'll get to lecture me for a week. He watched her dig a shallow trench in the dirt, wiping sweat from her brow, smearing it right back with a dirt-covered glove. Without saying anything, he rolled forward and opened a folder on his lap. What's that? A diagram, raised beds, drainage layout. She blinked. You planned my garden? He smirked. No, I'm fixing yours before you kill something. She handed him the gloves. Be my consultant? He took them. Temporarily, they worked for hours. Emily digging and planting, Logan sketching, measuring, adjusting layouts. He even handed her seedlings like a seasoned assistant. Later, as they sat under the canopy sipping lemonade, she said, This is the most sunlight I've seen you get. I'm not turning into a plant, if that's what you're hoping. No, but you're growing. He looked at her for a long moment and didn't deny it. Logan's younger brother, Tyler Carter, arrived 2 days later. Loud, charming, and annoyingly observant. He swept into the foyer like a breeze and kissed Emily's hand. So you're the infamous caretaker. Infamous? She blinked. Rumors are flying. Half the city thinks you're secretly Alpha Carter's mate. Logan grunted. Don't encourage them. Emily turned red. Tyler, it's not like that. I didn't say it shouldn't be, Tyler said with a wink. They had dinner on the porch, grilled steaks and wine, Tyler doing most of the talking. So, he finally said to Logan, when are you coming back to the council? I'm not. You could. They'd listen to you. I can lead from a wheelchair? Logan's voice was bitter. You're still the sharpest wolf in any room. Logan didn't answer. Tyler turned to Emily. What's your opinion? Is my brother wasting his brain power in exile? Emily hesitated. I think he's rediscovering how to live, one brushstroke at a time. Logan's gaze flicked to her, unreadable. Tyler grinned. She's good for you. Don't mess it up. Logan scowled. Emily just smiled into her wine glass. 3 nights later, something shifted. Emily was folding laundry in the hallway when Logan passed by. As he rolled past, he froze. She smelled different, stronger, familiar. He turned his head slightly. You're ovulating. She dropped a shirt. It's not heat. No, but your scent's changing, evolving. Because of the bond, most likely. She stared at him, breath caught. And what does that mean? It means I'm responding to it too. They stood still, her basket in hand, his chair barely moving. He added quietly, I've been dreaming of you. She swallowed. What kind of dreams? The kind that end with you in my arms. Emily's cheeks flushed. And you? She nodded. I dream of you walking. He looked away. And I hate that part, she whispered, because I don't want the version of you I imagine. I want this one. He looked back at her, stunned. She stepped forward, wheelchair and all. He didn't pull back when she reached for his hand. This time, he squeezed it and held on. Logan wheeled into the sunroom just as Emily was tugging down the sleeves of her shirt. He caught the flash of skin, smooth, pale, and scarred. He stopped. What's that on your back? Emily stiffened. Nothing. That didn't look like nothing. She turned slowly, arms crossed. It's old. I was attacked by a rogue when I was 16, bit through my shoulder. He didn't mark me, but he tried. Logan's jaw clenched. He was killed, eventually. I fled the pack that ignored it. That's when I started wandering. Silence stretched between them. You never told me, Logan said. You never asked. He lowered his gaze. You shouldn't have had to run. You did, she countered. After the war. He looked up. I didn't run. I hid. Emily approached, kneeling so they were eye level. Then maybe it's time we both stop hiding. His voice softened. You think we're the same? I think we're both wolves who were hurt, but not broken. He touched her hand, just briefly, but it was enough. The next few days passed quietly, almost too quietly. Emily felt the tension growing. They were orbiting closer and closer, and the emotional gravity between them was undeniable. But it scared them both. During breakfast, Logan barely spoke. At dinner, he didn't even finish his meal. That night, she finally snapped. Are you avoiding me? He looked up sharply. I'm trying to protect you. From what? Your chair? Your feelings? From me. She stepped back, hurt flashing across her face. I don't need protecting, Logan. I need honesty. You don't know what you're asking for. Yes, I do, she said. You think you're sparing me by shutting down, but you're just running again. And I'm not chasing anymore. Logan's hands clenched on the wheel rims. Do you want me to leave? She asked quietly. No, he said instantly. Then, stop pushing me like you do. His voice cracked. I don't know how to let you in without losing myself. Maybe you need to lose the version of yourself that keeps pretending he doesn't need love. She walked out of the room, leaving him alone in the dark. The moon rose heavy and orange that night. Logan didn't sleep. Couldn't. He wheeled outside, the garden bathed in silver. The scent of the herbs Emily had planted lingered in the air. His chair stopped at the edge of the path. He gritted his teeth. Then he did something he hadn't done in months. He pushed himself out of the seat and onto the ground. The soil was soft beneath his palms. He crawled forward on his hands, dragging his legs, until he reached the small stone bench beneath the oak tree, and then he howled. It wasn't loud, it wasn't strong, but it was raw and real. Emily heard it from her window. She threw on a sweater and ran barefoot through the yard. When she found him, he was on the ground, panting. "Logan!" "I needed to remember I'm still a wolf," he whispered. "You never stopped being one." She knelt beside him, pulling his upper body into her lap. He let her hold him. Let her see the tears he never let fall. "Stay," he whispered. "I'm not leaving." The air between them changed after that night. They moved around each other like magnets, too afraid to connect. Emily helped him with his chair, but her hands lingered longer. Logan watched her from doorways. He drew more. She cooked more. They ate together, sat together, felt together, but didn't talk about it. One night, while reviewing letters for families of fallen soldiers, they ended up shoulder to shoulder on the couch. Emily read aloud softly. Logan listened, eyes closed. Then he opened them, looked at her, and leaned in. Her breath caught. Their lips hovered inches apart. He paused. "Tell me to stop." She didn't, but she didn't close the gap either. Instead, she whispered, "This can't be a mistake." He pulled back, just barely. "It isn't," he said, but he didn't kiss her. She understood. Neither of them were ready, but both of them wanted to be. The next day, Emily took 3 letters to town, all written by Logan, all unfinished messages from a chapter of his life he had buried. She mailed them. On the way home, she found Tyler at the gas station. He grinned. "You look different." She raised a brow. "How so?" "Like you're carrying his heart in your pocket." She laughed. "He hasn't given it yet." "He has. He just doesn't know how to say it." She sobered. "He's still afraid." Tyler looked at her kindly. "So are you." That night, when Emily returned, Logan met her at the door. "You delivered them?" She nodded. He exhaled. "Thank you." "Feels like something changed," she said. He paused, then added, "There's something else." He wheeled into the studio, pulled out a folded canvas. When he unwrapped it, she gasped. It was the portrait, finished. A painting of wolves under moonlight. In the foreground, 2 figures stood side by side. One upright, one in a wheelchair, but they faced forward. Together. "I painted us," he said quietly. Emily reached for him, not with pity, not with hesitation, with pride. Tyler returned a week later, this time not alone. He brought Delilah Cross, a high-ranking Omega counselor and Logan's ex-fiancée. Elegant, polite, and dripping with pack council authority, she made herself at home without asking. "I've come to assess your condition," Delilah said smoothly. "The council is reconsidering your withdrawal." Logan's expression didn't flicker. "I didn't ask for their reconsideration." "Well, they asked for mine." Emily stood quietly in the kitchen, gripping a dish towel tight. Delilah noticed her. "So this is your, what maid? Nurse?" "She's my caretaker," Logan said flatly. Delilah's eyes gleamed. "That's all?" Logan didn't answer. Delilah smirked. "It's cute, really. She smells like she's half-bound. Did you even notice?" Emily stepped forward before she could stop herself. "I'm not half of anything." Delilah's brows lifted. "Feisty." Tyler cleared his throat. "Del, maybe dial it back." No, let her speak," Delilah said, eyes still on Emily. "I'm sure this is all very thrilling for her, playing house with a fallen alpha." Emily's voice was calm. "Better than being a ghost haunting his past." Logan stood then, not bothering with his chair, pushing himself upright with shaking arms against the counter. He didn't move, just stood. Delilah stared. Emily didn't even flinch. That night, Logan didn't return to his room. He stayed in hers. Nothing happened, but neither of them slept apart. The next morning, Delilah delivered the real reason for her visit. "The council wants you to return, not as a general, but as a strategic advisor. Remote, limited presence, full compensation. You'd work from here." Logan blinked. "Why now?" "Because war is stirring again. Small skirmishes at the borders. They need your mind, not your legs. And the catch? Delilah folded her hands. You'd need to take a bonded Omega, official, marked, council-sanctioned. Emily sat still beside him, back straight. Logan's jaw tightened. And if I say no? They'll revoke your veteran benefits, cut off estate funding. You'll be declared rogue. Tyler stepped forward. That's not fair. Delilah shrugged. It's politics, Emily whispered. You don't have to choose me. Logan looked at her. I already did. Silence. Then he faced Delilah. You can tell the council I'll return only on my terms. And those are, I bond who I want, or I don't return at all. Delilah's mouth twitched. You'd give up everything for her. Logan's voice was calm. She is everything. Later, that night, Emily sat beside the fireplace, silent. Logan joined her, a blanket over his lap, eyes thoughtful. You didn't have to defend me, she said. I wanted to. You'd lose your position. I already lost it once. I won't trade you to get it back. Emily looked at him, her expression unreadable. Why me? He turned toward her. Because you see the man beneath the uniform. Because you touch the parts of me I thought were numb forever. Because you stayed. She blinked back tears. Logan. Don't say anything, he said softly. Not unless you mean it. She took his hand and placed it over her pulse. I mean it. He leaned forward, forehead resting against hers. No kiss, just breath shared, pain shared, warmth shared. Logan closed his eyes. If I mark you, we won't be able to take it back. I know. We'll never be able to pretend again. Good. The fire crackled between them. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, they didn't move, but everything had shifted. Logan received a letter the next day. Formal request, return to the council and give public testimony on the rogue border attacks, or be labelled unfit for duty permanently. It was a test. Tyler was furious. They're daring you to show weakness. I know, Logan muttered. Emily stood quietly nearby. Then, show them strength. How? She smiled softly. Let them see you with me. Later that night, Emily helped Logan dress for the hearing. Deep navy shirt, blazer, clean-shaven jaw. She wheeled him to the mirror. He stared. I look like I used to, he murmured. She kissed the edge of his jaw. You look like who you've become. At the council chamber, all eyes turned when they entered. Logan didn't flinch. He gave his testimony with steel in his voice and fire in his eyes. He referenced border movements, tactical formations, and diplomatic pressure points. Then, as the panel moved to dismiss him, Delilah spoke up. Is it true you've refused to bond with the caretaker? He turned slowly. She's not my caretaker. Emily stood beside him. She's my partner, my equal. And if I bond her, it's not out of politics or duty. It's because I choose her. The room fell silent. No one objected. They couldn't. They returned home late that night. No words were needed. Emily helped him out of the chair, let him settle beside her in bed. He touched her throat, where his mark would go. His hand trembled. She nodded. I'm ready. Logan lowered his head, lips brushing her neck. Then he stopped. Emily. She opened her eyes. What? I want this, but I want you to choose it when there's no pressure, no threats, not even gratitude. She pulled back slightly, surprised. Tonight was your moment. Next time, it'll be ours. Her eyes brimmed. You always stop when it matters, he whispered, because you're not something I'll ever take lightly. She cupped his face. You already have me. His voice cracked. Then I'll wait as long as it takes to earn all of you. They curled together beneath the sheets, unmarked, but never more bound. Emily became the topic of every whispered conversation in the Pack District. Once a nameless, drifting Omega, she was now the woman who lived with the broken Alpha, the one he didn't mark, but wouldn't let go. The council made it official. Logan Carter was reinstated as a remote advisor, given limited authority, and publicly acknowledged as bonded in intention, not in law. "Why don't they just call me your mate?" Emily asked one morning, setting tea beside his maps. "Because we haven't sealed it," Logan said quietly. "Because you haven't." He paused. "That's not fair." She looked at him, expression calm. "Neither is being treated like a placeholder." He swallowed. "You think I'm ashamed of you? I think you're ashamed of yourself." That stung. Hard. She stood, kissed his forehead, and walked out of the room. Logan sat there long after the tea went cold. Days later, Delilah returned, this time alone, this time not in silk, but in black. A rogue was captured at the southern border, she told Logan quietly. "One of yours." "Mine?" "Jared Callum. From Ridgepoint." Logan's breath caught. "He was declared dead." "He wasn't, and he's asking for you." Emily entered the room mid-conversation. Delilah turned. "This doesn't concern her." "It does," Logan said. Delilah narrowed her eyes. "You trust her with this." "I trust her with everything." Emily sat. "What happened to Jared?" Delilah hesitated. "He's unstable. Claims the last command he remembers is from you. He believes you're still his alpha." Emily's voice was soft. "Then he needs to see him." Delilah stared at her. "You're surprisingly composed for someone being pushed out." Emily didn't blink. "I'm not going anywhere." They brought Jared in under sedation, pale and twitching, his mind half gone. Logan had them place him on the patio in the sun. Jared blinked slowly. "Alpha." "I'm here," Logan said, wheeling close. Jared whimpered. "I waited. You never came. You said hold the line, and we held it, and you never... I thought you were gone. You left us." Logan knelt, painfully, slowly, beside his former soldier. "I didn't leave," he whispered. "I was dragged out. I lost command. I didn't stop caring," Jared sobbed. "They made us monsters." "You're not a monster," Logan said. "You're a survivor." Emily stood silently behind them, watching a man with no legs offer strength to one who had nothing left inside. When Jared was sedated again, Logan didn't move. "He blames me," he said flatly. "He loves you," Emily said. "That's why. It hurts so much." Logan looked at her, something unspoken in his eyes. Then he whispered, "I'm tired of waiting." That night, the house was silent except for the soft crackle of firelight. Emily sat on the couch, arms wrapped around her knees. Logan rolled in. She looked up. "I'm sorry," he said, "for making you doubt your place, for waiting until I thought I'd earned something I already had." She didn't speak. He came closer. "I want to mark you." She froze. "Not because I have to," he added, "but because I can't imagine waking up another day and not being yours." Emily stood, slowly. "Are you sure?" "I was never unsure of you," he said. "Just of whether I was enough." "You are." She leaned in. This time, he didn't stop. His teeth grazed the side of her neck, gentle and reverent. She arched into him. He bit down, not hard, but deep enough to make the bond hum between them like lightning. When he pulled back, she was shaking. "Say it," she whispered. He brushed his lips over hers. "Mine." Her voice trembled. "Yours." The next morning, everything was too quiet. Emily found Logan already up, dressed, wheeling through the garden path like it was any other day, except something in him had gone still. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked carefully. "No," he said. "You did everything right." She watched him, wary. "Then why do I feel like you're already leaving?" He didn't answer. "Logan." He stopped, turned. "I'm scared," he said. "Now that you're mine, I'm terrified I'll ruin it. Emily stepped forward. You won't. You don't know that. I do. He exhaled. I've seen too many things break under pressure. Too many wolves fall apart after getting what they wanted. She reached him and took his hand. Then let's not fall apart. He held her gaze. You want this, she said. Yes. Then stop preparing for the crash, Logan. Start preparing to live. He stared at her and finally nodded. Tyler barged into the estate at dawn, smelling of blood and urgency. They've breached the south wall, he said without preamble. 5 rogues, 2 captured, 3 still out there. Logan's jaw tightened. Anyone hurt? 2 guards, minor injuries. But that's not why I came. He handed Logan a sealed envelope. Emily leaned over his shoulder, reading the council's stamp. Emergency directive. Alpha Carter to lead local strategy and neutralization. They want you in the war room, Tyler said. In person. Logan glanced at Emily. She nodded. Then we go. But I'm your mate now, not your shadow. Let's go. Minutes later, they were in the SUV, Tyler driving, Logan briefing her between turns. 3 rogues is unusual. Coordinated. Someone's feeding them info. Delilah? Emily asked. Maybe, Logan said. She wanted me to fail publicly. This would do it. When they arrived at the council building, all eyes snapped to them. Whispers followed Emily again. But now they weren't about scandal. They were about power. Because she didn't follow behind Logan anymore. She walked beside him. Inside the war room, chaos reigned. Maps, intel boards, beta commanders, pacing, arguing. Delilah stood near the head table, flanked by a few smug elders. You came, she said, eyeing Emily, and brought your caretaker. Emily didn't flinch. I brought my mate. Logan moved forward. Status update. One of the betas stepped forward. Rogues moved faster than expected. They had blueprints of our gate system. Logan frowned. That's internal intelligence, which means we have a leak. Delilah smirked. Careful, Logan. Accusing the council could cost you. He locked eyes with her. If the truth costs me, I'll pay it. Emily studied the table map. What if they're not trying to win? What if they're trying to isolate you, Logan? Tyler's eyes widened. Force him to make a mistake. Delilah raised a brow. Are you accusing the council of treason, Ms. Hale? I'm accusing someone of trying to undo a bond they can't control. Gasps echoed through the room. Logan stepped closer to Emily. Say it again. She turned to him. They can't undo us. He smiled. Good. Then he turned to the table. Here's the new plan. That night, Logan coordinated a trap at the southern edge of the district. Emily stood beside him at the mobile command. Post, headset in one ear, eyes scanning the forest line. 2 on the left ridge, she said. 3rd behind the old reservoir. Logan relayed instructions calmly, his voice steady, alpha deep, magnetic. Even from a wheelchair, he led with fire. When the rogues moved, his men were waiting. Smoke rose, claws met steel, and Logan didn't flinch. Not even when one of the rogues, massive, red-eyed, charged straight for the vehicle where he sat. Emily screamed, Logan! Tyler tackled the rogue mid-air. The beast fell. Logan didn't move. When Emily reached him, breathless, shaking, he was still holding the tactical tablet. You were almost... I wasn't, he said quietly. Because we're not alone anymore. She cupped his face, frantic. Don't do that again. He held her wrist. I'm not going anywhere. You've already dragged me too far forward. The next morning, they returned to the estate with Tyler and several guards. Logan rolled into the main hall where the press waited. Council members lined the back wall, including Delilah. Logan cleared his throat. I've served this pack as a soldier, general, strategist, and exile. He paused, letting the silence stretch. I was told I couldn't lead without legs. I was told no Omega would ever stay with me unless commanded. I was told I was less. He looked at Emily, but she stayed. Not because I was broken, but because she saw what was still whole. Gasps echoed as Emily stepped beside him, bare neck exposed. Then she turned her head, revealing the mark. The room erupted. He waited until it settled. I am Alpha Logan Carter. This is my bonded mate, Emily Hale. She is not my caretaker. She is not my shadow. She is my equal. And together, we are whole. Delilah turned and left. Good. Weeks passed. The garden bloomed. Logan sat under the oak tree where he first howled again, sketching in a new notebook. Emily approached, a trowel in, one hand, dirt on her cheek. He looked up, smiled. Tomatoes survived. Barely. I talk to them more than I talk to Tyler. He deserves that. She knelt beside him. You're drawing again. I am. She peeked. Is that me? He nodded. You always find your way onto the page. She leaned her head against his shoulder. Are you happy? He looked around, the house, the garden, the wildflowers she planted along the fence, his mark on her neck, her scent in the wind. I'm not who I was, he said, but I finally stopped punishing myself for it. Emily smiled. You're more. They sat like that as the sun sank low. No counsel, no whispers, just two wolves, bonded by choice, and love that grew in broken places, stronger than anything forged in fire.